You can't get off the rails if there were never rails to begin with. Oh my goodness, Jack Reacher.
Don't you? What?
Jack Reacher and Never Go Back on 4K is $7.96.
You're gonna buy it, really? Jack
No.
Reacher is on Netflix now, so I can watch it again if you're interested.
Oh, it's so bad. I don't even know if watching it the second time would be worth it. Anyway, sorry,
we like
you were
on
started.
the show, don't we?
Hmm?
Do you like horror on this show?
Do I like horrors on this show?
That's why I had to stretch the second and then you still made the joke.
That's because you didn't watch Rain Man. You literally need to watch that. We need to as soon as this is over, we need to watch it together.
Okay, right. I almost made a joke, but I don't want to have to come back and cut it out. So, so what?
Ow!
What movie did I pick this week?
Whoa! It's Maui's baby.
Why would you say it like that?
I don't know. How would you say it?
Rosemary's Baby.
I suddenly got really camp there for a second. How would you say it?
Hey, we just watched this really old movie, and it was so old that it was boring.
This movie is 11 years older than I am.
Wow,
And that tells you a lot.
it is 31 years older than I. Nope. 29,
You don't even
29,
know.
29. Wait,
Is that Canadian math?
68? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
30, right on.
Gosh, how old are you?
45.
Okay.
76. Anywho, it's kind of amazing that this movie doesn't have a director, huh?
I'm not letting you edit anything into there.
What do you think? All I'm going to do is edit the part where you go, whoa, Maui baby. That'll be your reaction, everything. What is this movie, Garrett?
That's really going to be the intro?
I don't know. What else? What would I do? You started then if you got all the bright ideas.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
It's a drama / horror film about a young couple who moves to New York.
The end, I guess. What?
Well, I mean,
She becomes a math teacher.
one of the running themes that we've seen through a lot of the most influential horror films of all time is the horrors of becoming like a family.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's no different here. It's the starting of a family, being in a new place, maybe a little bit of like
Satanic cults.
gaslighting, maybe just a little bit.
A little bit.
Strange neighbors, things that are going
old
on.
ladies forcibly feeding you strange foods. That happens to everybody, right?
Yeah. I mean, if my neighbors or anything to go by.
What do they force feed you, dick?
Well.
This stars the incredible Mia Farrow. She is a hell of a performance in this movie, I would say. See, this is the part of the podcast where you like say something else, and
she played Rosemary's Baby.
legend has it that the director made Rosemary's Baby out of a lamb fetus.
That's not true.
Get it?
No, I understand.
No, I understand.
See, I thought you were going to say that...
This movie does feel very influential on that, though, does it not? You don't think there was any indications?
I think Rosemary's Baby is a very influential film.
But not specifically to Eraserhead.
No.
That's too personal of a movie, almost.
Well, the other thing is... I mean, there's... we would have to go into a breakdown of what Eraserhead is in order to be able to compare it to Rosemary's Baby and what the differences are.
All right, Eraserhead cast.
And I don't think... first off,
pivot.
yeah, it would be much longer.
We would need more time for that.
Yeah. So I don't want to... I mean, at a very basic, fundamental level, I could see what you're saying.
They touch on same themes, but I don't think that Lynch was...
No, very broadly do they touch on the same themes.
Just fear of having a child.
But that's the thing, is she wasn't afraid of having a child.
Right. That's true.
and it's like there's no question as to what parts of Eraserhead are real and what parts are like supernatural fabrication or like just an off
right. All
vision
of
of
it is.
things. Right. So it's like the entirety of the thing is the emotion that is being felt. And personally to me, Rosemary's Baby is extremely straightforward. You don't there aren't things to read into. There's not like a depth of like what exactly did the writer mean by this thing. It's like it's very straightforward. Once you go through and watch it the first time, it's not like you go back and unlock new things on the second viewing.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong, it's very well done. But it's just like it goes from point A to point B to point C. And that's how it is. And when you're at the end, it has explained what its story is, and you understand that story.
It's just real Hollywood film.
No, I mean it's
all American guy.
Like I'm not saying like Roman Polanski is not deep.
You weren't supposed to say his name the whole fucking time. You said that specifically. That we weren't going to talk about that bastard.
We cut that out then.
I am gonna.
Okay. I'm not saying that like the story itself does not have depth to it, but to me it's just very.
No, I agree with you.
It's very plain in the way that it states. Yeah,
I understand what you're saying. Maybe I should have opened up to the Eraserhead can of worms. One's a surrealist film and the other is not.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no symbolism in this film, I don't think. I mean, it's like it's hard to know exactly where to get into it because it's like you rated the movie 5 stars, I rated it 4 stars. I obviously have issues with it. I'm not saying that you can't rate something 5 stars and not have issues with it.
It's not that I didn't have issues with it. I just thought it was
and if you go by influence or you go by this is one of the greats of Hollywood cinema or any of this other types of the thing, it's like
I don't know how I rate. I don't know what compels me to rate things certain ways. I certainly rate things too high sometimes, just like on the inverse when something is very aggressively mediocre, I will rate it lower because it hurts me to watch, Sure. Like last week I talked about Godzilla. That's probably like a 3-star movie, let's say, where it's just like 6 out of 10, run of the mill, whatever. But it hurts me so much I rate it lower than that because it pains me to watch. So but it's just as simple as a 5-star is like, this movie was excellently made, kept my attention the entire time. I enjoyed every second of it. I would probably see myself coming back to it eventually.
Sure.
It could be as easy as that, or it could be the extreme of like, it actually changed me,
Sure. No, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, obviously.
That's like my 4.5s are very much just like, this is a fucking great movie, period. So when you get a 5, yeah, maybe the influence, like, because like I said, I thought of Eraserhead like momentarily, or a bunch of other stuff. You could see the influence through it. Hereditary a lot, especially.
And so that's the thing is like I don't like Hereditary as much either.
yeah. So I could see it maybe, and maybe that bumped it from a 4.5 to a 5, where I could be like, okay, sure. It's a great fucking movie, and then also I can see that it caused so many other people to make things that I also loved. So without this, those wouldn't exist. So
sure,
but
that's fair. And in the Letterboxd top 250, it ranks at 206. So a lot of people share your opinion of it being a great.
Well, it's highly regarded as one of the best horror films ever made. So
yeah,
and I think it all has to stem from her performance. I really do.
She did a really good performance.
It grips you and kind of pulls you throughout. She's just so innocent almost that it feels like
she is. It was a perfect casting for that character.
You have to be on her side the whole time. You know what I mean by that?
I do.
So yeah, definitely.
I wish it would have been more subtle.
Yeah.
There are things where it's like she plainly states in an air quotes dream sequence, "I'm not dreaming. This is all real." And it's like, come on, like why did she have to say that? Or like also in it, it's like, yes, we drugged her. She can't feel anything and won't remember it. It's like, really? Like, do you think so little of your audience that you have to state that to us? Now I could understand, like, if because you know how people are like, oh, this came out in the 60s. There were obviously no horror films before this.
Well, there were.
Right, and that's the thing is like there were so many.
Were there mainstream to this degree? I don't know off the top of my head.
Psycho.
Yeah, that's true.
Psycho was 60.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, and before
not as like, I don't know if Psycho's easier to digest than Satan raping a woman.
Well, it's just like serial killers and dressing as your mother, and like there's a lot of complex issues in that movie that aren't. I mean, some of them are kind of hand fed to you, but you know, there's a lot of stuff like that that's more. I don't know. That's
speaking
not
of the Hereditary stuff. I just thought of, because I was trying to think of, there was no moments in this movie where I was like scared or anything like that.
Right.
I think one of my favorite moment in the whole movie, I think, was when she like escapes to her apartment from all the people and you think she's safe and she goes on the phone and then people walk by in the background. I think that was my favorite moment in the whole movie. That was the only moment I actually went, oh fuck. So like that's a good.
And say I thought it was funny.
Oh yeah, it is funny. Like because I rewinded it to see it again, and it's funnier the second time because they make like the weirdest sneaky movements, which is when you're not expecting it, and then all of a sudden they like appear and walk by, but it's completely silent. So if you think about Hereditary, it kind of happens in that too when she like scutters. It
does, which I had the same reaction to it as well. It's like, come on.
I was scared the first time I saw Hereditary at that scene, and then every time I've watched it since, it's actually hilarious. And then especially after seeing Midsommar, I find it even more hilarious because I know Ari Aster is certainly meaning for it to have a sense of humor.
Right. Yeah, it's sort of like if the audience didn't know that other door was there, or there was a reason why that closet was blocked off, that would have meant so much more. But they kind of like rub your nose into it right away. It's like that's one of the things the issues I have with the movie is subtlety. It's like there's none.
Yeah.
You know, the I'm going to rearrange his name with the Scrabble letters. It's like as an idea that's cool, but kind of like the way it's pulled off is hokey.
I did like how they were playing Scrabble earlier and then it came back. That was
right.
I liked it when they set it up in that kind of way, but yes, it was.
Yeah, I mean, visually it looks nice, but as far as the story goes, you're kind of like, really?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if that just stems from it being very Hollywood. Is that?
It was probably in the book.
That's true too.
That's more of a literary. I mean, it's the red rum, right? It's like in the book you show it reversed, and it makes sense and then that's like the aha moment. You know, Sneakers had that. Why no? He pulls it off. To me, that's the difference between conceptually being something that you're like, oh my goodness, and conceptually being like, okay. To me, it's one like if the name reversal thing was one of the early times that the audience had any indication that there was something wrong with the neighbors, because then that's something that you can kind of like write off as like, okay, so the names can be switched up. Like, that's not necessarily proof that anything's happening. But when they're like pounding you in the face, there's something weird about these people. There's something off. They're a little too friendly. It's like, okay, I get it. And so it's like by the time, I mean, this movie's 2 hours and 17 minutes long. By the time like half of that is moved in, if you're still establishing that there's something weird with these weird people next door, it's like, I think maybe you just have an audience problem. You know, like at this point we get it, and I kind of wish that it would, again, subtlety, I wish it would have been not as heavy-handed with like, you know, it's like when we see things happen to her, you don't necessarily have to keep rubbing it in our faces that something is happening to her.
Right.
Which, that's one of the things, like, and I know that like Kubrick took this and was like, some of the more real issues about how it was more of a slow build for certain things. It's like, I understand that he was like, because you could, if you take the dream as being a literal dream, and then you say nothing supernatural necessarily happened in the film, like I could see Kubrick taking that and going, nothing supernatural will come across on screen. It will either be this character's having a vision, or the character's saying something that we as the audience don't necessarily believe, or it's all in his head, or he only notices it in the mirror. Like, there's ways of going through the film and passing it off as well, she's just tired, or they're just eccentric, but they're not actually anything wrong with them. But the movie doesn't really give you the balance of questioning those things. It's just like right away just telling you, yeah, they're crazy. Yeah, they're giving her stuff because it's obviously affecting her. Yeah, she literally got raped during a seance or whatever, during
by a bunch of naked people.
Yeah, by occult practices, and the scratches on her body were real, and like the excuse that her husband gives her is completely like ridiculously terrible, and then she doesn't even like say, man, I had a terrible dream and I got, it's like she doesn't even say anything. She doesn't even have a human reaction to that. It's just like, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds believable. And it's like, but none of it,
they told you that it was real.
I know. That's the thing.
She didn't say that she had a bad dream. Because she was like, wait a minute, this isn't a dream.
But that's the thing is like but she doesn't like ask any of her friends. Like, I think I'm flipping out. I mean, it's like, I wonder if there were any scenes that they cut where it's like she is questioning her own sanity, or she's like, maybe it's this, or she could ask the doctor, like, I'm having all these terrible nightmares. Mm-hmm. Is it something that the baby has? And he's like, well, I'll prescribe you something that will help you to sleep a little bit better. I mean, it's like there's things like that you can get away with in the film of like putting her mind at ease, but it's sort of like it just keeps ramping up until she's finally like, okay, I'm going to lose it. I just have to leave everybody. It's like, that seems like a ridiculous jump from being like, oh, I can knock all this off as not being real to I have to leave my apartment right when I'm about to be pregnant, go to a different doctor, and have my baby away from my husband.
Right.
It's like, that's a huge leap. And that's one of the other things that I have a little bit of a problem with. I don't know how you felt about it. I felt like John Cassavetes was completely miscast.
I didn't think he was very good at all.
Yeah, because
he delivers the lines. I don't really believe that he's kind of like just a wet fart, and I just don't see why.
You don't see why the two of them would be together.
Yeah.
You're never endeared with him. Their relationship never really works on screen, and then it's like he's not charismatic enough to like. It's almost like he's not even there. He's in a different movie.
Yeah,
sort of like.
And needed Jimmy Stewart.
Wow, well, it was just a dream.
They promised me fame and fortune,
Your Jimmy Stewart sounds a little more like Bill Cosby.
I was thinking more Owen Wilson, actually. Oh, wow. They
got some fondue from the next door.
They gotta give them to the devil. Should have been Tommy Wiseau.
I mean, how young would he have been? I know he's an old guy.
He would have been like 35. I think that it needed somebody almost just as innocent as her, so that you could believe that he would be like gullible enough almost, or that he's just like, oh no, they're just being helpful. But then like when he has a sinister turn, you're like, oh shit, he's like gone all in on things. And I don't even know his name. John, you said, eh?
Yeah, Cassavetes.
Yeah, I think he's
a director.
He's almost too like mafia-ish looking and almost acting too. That it's kind of like,
yeah,
I don't know.
He's very energetic.
Yeah, and but like not charismatically energetic, like you said.
Right.
He's just like overacting almost.
Yeah, and the thing is too, he's the kind of person that likes to experiment a lot, and like with his directed works, and then with works that he was like with Peter Falk in. Falk in, not Peter Falcon.
Peter Falcon.
Falcon Punch. He was able to do that and maneuver, and you almost kind of need another like in-your-face person to act against him and like overpower him or water his energy down.
Right.
And she was just absorbing it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not, if you just wanted to have a movie about an overbearing husband that you already don't like and you're rooting for her to get away from, he would be the perfect cast. But for you not to suspect that anything weird is going on, and then suddenly it's a shock that he would do that to her, that's not the right guy.
That's why I'm saying you need a Jimmy Stewart.
Or Woody Allen. Oh, that's a completely different... Yeah, I should have said that.
You need somebody who's like... that looks like a Hollywood dad type, you know?
Peter Sellers.
Where you wouldn't believe anything with... Like, you would
like Dick Van Dyke?
Again, sure. Again, you would want to be in her mindset of, oh no, he couldn't be doing anything wrong.
Andy Griffith.
Like Ron Howard.
He wouldn't have been age appropriate.
Yeah, go for it. Why not? Apparently Jack Nicholson was presented
that wouldn't have worked
at one point. Yeah, but
a horror film about a family, Jack would have never worked.
Director man, whoever it is, turned him down because he looks too sinister. So it's again going in that direction, right?
Didn't they want? It seems like they wanted Robert Redford.
See, I would agree with that. It's the same kind of like he feels like a nice guy and then he's not, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You don't think he could do anything wrong until he does. But the entire time, because like you were saying, it's not very subtle, too, it doubles down when you have him acting like something's wrong as well. He doesn't sell everything well enough.
Yeah, you need charisma.
Yeah. You need Bob Odenkirk.
Well, I was saying, like, Steve McQueen was age appropriate, but he already did 2 movies in '68, so that probably wouldn't have happened.
This was one of Stanley Kubrick's favorite films.
That's fine.
I'm just saying. I was just reading trivia.
I mean, it's one of those things that it's like, this is a terrible... It's like Anthony Perkins until he got typecast. It is a good, like, aw shucks. I'm too innocent to have hurt anyone.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like at this point in his career, you basically expect that, you know?
Right.
So but you need another person like that. I mean, not that they necessarily have to, I don't even know if like effeminate is the word. Like, I almost feel like a manly man, like someone that's really like, okay, Mia Farrow.
A nice guy, like a
yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I don't even know the word. Sure, that could be the right word, effeminate, kind of like just
like someone that's more emotional.
Yeah, you could believe.
Yeah, that she would connect with. I mean,
yes, you don't
in
just
real life.
Her being all naive and innocent, and then the brute
yeah,
boy.
It's like, oh, that's the thing. Is in real life she was with Frank Sinatra at this time.
Oh,
so it's like,
guy.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. It's like, so it's not like I don't think that a type of girl like this could not have a relationship with a guy like that. I mean, it's like, I completely understand because it literally happened. But it's like, for this story and what they were wanting to tell and how I think it could have been done a little bit better is if you have, as far as like Hollywood script writing terms, you don't have the time to show that relationship. So it has to almost be like when you see them, you get it.
Yes.
And so because of that, I think that he was the wrong person for the role, not that he isn't a good actor or that those two characters could never have been believable together. It's just we don't have the time to see that to make it believable. We need to take shortcuts so that the audience, as soon as they see them, I got it. That's why they're together. And that never happens. That scene is never in there. That chemistry is never felt. And it almost seems like he just is like not on set for half the movie.
Right.
You know, and that's another direction you could have went. Like, as you go through the movie, if you see that the chemistry is not working out, have it be like he's an absent husband and like play that part up for it more. But it didn't necessarily, he kept interjecting himself in.
He's written as like the perfect husband that could do no wrong, but he's not played that way.
Right, exactly.
I agree with you. Should have had Robert De Niro.
In '68?
I'm just trying to think of old actors.
Yeah, he could have pulled it off. I still think
Joe Pesci.
Oh, that would have been great. I said Joe Pesci and anything. I like Joe Pesci. But that's the problem is, like, they can play the most horrible character and I'll still like them, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they would be good for that role.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of Well, okay, Charles Grodin, the guy that played the second Doctor, the
Okay.
younger Doctor that she goes to at the end.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of think, well, he's going to help her out. He understands, and he's going to get her the help that she needs. But in the end, he's just like everybody else, basically.
Well, he just thinks that she's crazy and like calls her husband and the other doctor to save her.
Right. But I mean, it's almost like that character played a husband better than what her husband did.
That actor could have been a better husband.
Yeah.
The guy.
I mean, I like Charles Grodin because he was in what is it, Midnight Run with Robert De Niro.
Midnight Spaghetti.
Midnight Spaghetti.
Should have had Rick
weird.
Dalton.
For some reason, every time you say Dalton, I think of Roadhouse. And I'm like, Patrick Swayze would have been perfect.
Why didn't they have Rick Dalton as the... He should have been cast.
It's weird to me that Cassavetes is in the movie, and then the name of the neighbors is Castavet, and it's almost like it has like almost all the same letters, and like it would keep being confusing to me because I'm like, are they trying to say his last name? Like, what's going on? Oh, that's
just
right.
Those neighbors in general.
I know they were kind of Lynchian, but like way over the top.
Yeah, but I don't even know if they're Lynchian because they're too over the top.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like
quality to it. They just feel too mundane.
They should have been Lynchian.
That's what they should have been. They should have been the grandma and grandpa from Mulholland Drive.
Oh, geez, you don't want to like freak people out.
That scene is so fucking scary at the end,
isn't
of that
it?
Movie, when
yes,
or whatever.
Yes. And I love how it's juxtapositioned against the beginning where you're just like, wow, they have really weird smiles. And it's like, that's off-putting, but it's not scary. But at the end, they look exactly the same, and it's fucking terrifying.
I actually got like shivers thinking about it.
Good.
You know what movie's actually fucking scary? Inland Empire.
You know what movie's scary? Every fucking David Lynch movie.
Yes. The like really quick flash of like the giant creepy smile on Laura Dern's face. Oh
yeah.
Shit. Oh,
which is so ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, because it's like a nightmare. Yeah.
David Lynch and nightmares. Never heard.
Huh. What did you think about the ending?
The very, very ending?
Yeah.
Not just like the end scene, like the final, like where she gives in kind of thing?
Yeah, not that, like the whole where she hears the baby crying and it goes from that.
That whole section, it was...
Yes.
It was fine. I'm happy they didn't show the baby.
Right.
And kind of kept it to the imagination a little bit other than talking about the eyes. Part of me, from seeing Suspiria already, wanted her to like burn the place down.
That would have been badass.
I think that would have been a better ending. But the kind of darkness of her giving in is kind of interesting as well too. I'm happy that it kind of had a darker ending like that.
Like, to me, if it would have, again, if you go for more subtlety and then she gives in and she's like, I'm going to raise it even though I realize that this is going to bring the apocalypse because I just love the baby, would have been way more interesting than it being the whole, there's Satanists and this Hail Satan and he has cloven hooves and weird eyes. You know, like he's literally the devil.
Hail Payman.
Yeah, it's just, I thought, I mean, the very first time I saw it, I'm like, this is so fucking stupid. Like, to me, it ruins the whole movie.
Yeah.
Because it's so, like, out of everyone, he picked someone that he didn't even think would be the mother. That they were just going to take the baby away from. It's like, why did they have to drug her? Why wouldn't he pick someone that would be more willing? Or it's like, what was it about her specifically that he thought, like, we don't, you know, this mousy girl.
It's Mia Farrow. Look at her. That's why.
Just because he wanted a good-looking baby?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, to me, it's like, well, and this probably goes to, like, the whole, like, conceptually, it's dumb. of any deity with supernatural powers would have to resort to the crudeness of impregnating someone and then them still having to raise
Crudeness, they just like banging.
Well, that's fine if he just wants to bang.
It's like Zeus.
But doesn't that just basically turn into Dracula, where it's a monster that just has sexual needs?
I want to suck your dick.
Jeez, Cocula.
Oh god.
So it was just, to me, and then when I found out that William Castle was the guy who produced it, I was like, oh, okay, it seems very much so like one of his hokey 60s, B movie. And that's the thing, is to me, this is a B movie script with just like really pretty visuals and camera work.
Yeah.
Which there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I love B movies, and again, it's not like this is
I
the
also
shittiest
love the
movie
B
ever.
movie starring Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, because it's the greatest B movie ever. But it's just like it. But I have the same issues with The Exorcist, where I feel like when Linda Blair is actually like in the hospital and all those machines are doing stuff for her, and her mother's freaking out because they're not finding anything wrong with her and they don't understand what's going on. That to me is like way more moving and way more interesting. As soon as her face changes and she starts doing the stuff, it's just hokey and silly, and I didn't get why it was such a. I mean, I know why it's such a revered movie.
That's a better movie than this is, I think.
Yeah, I think the performances are more even. Like the characters are more in line with what the characters should be.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I don't know, if you have the power to change someone's face and possess people, it's like, why stop at one? Why not impregnate 50,000 women?
So, is there some Satan lore there where like you can only?
I mean, but that why wait 2,000 years after God does one? Why not? Why if you
away? Hey,
or why not do it like as soon as humanity starts? Adam and Eve, you get them to eat the apple, fucking bang them right then. Both of them, because you don't know which one's going to have the baby yet, because they haven't had any kids, apparently, in all of human history. So, I mean, it's like stuff like that. It's just like when you start asking questions, the thing just completely falls apart, and it's ridiculous.
I think you just have to not ask questions and just watch the movie and enjoy the ride.
And that's fine. And I can do that up to an extent. But to me, the reason why it's not, why I feel like, for me personally, it's not in the top 250 movies of all time, is because the questions I have aren't like, wow, what is this telling me about the universe? Or those things don't quite fit together. Let me think about why those things are the way that they are. There's no like unknowns. There's no like questioning things that sit with me interestingly. It's questions of, I don't know why they did that, and why was this decision made, and that didn't really sit well with me. I wish they'd have done it differently. Like, those are the kind of questions I have. And not that, I mean, the thing is, I know, A, there's no such thing as a perfect movie, because everyone has
that's not true.
Different things. And then B,
that's not true at all. There are perfect movies.
If you have...
Pick one thing to change in 2001.
When Dave...
Nope, gotcha.
When Dave goes through the airlock, he shouldn't have held his breath. He shouldn't have, breathed in to hold his lungs full. Because that's something that's scientifically inaccurate.
Was it scientifically inaccurate in the 60s?
Yes.
Well, what do you know?
Yeah, and so then the second point also is like, if you have all of these different ideas,
they just pick the stupidest thing.
Yeah, and it's like,
not a perfect movie. He held his breath.
Also in 2001, one of the back of the chairs, a sweater is there at the beginning of the scene, and then as they talk, it disappears.
That's just because it's like meant to get inside your head, like The Shining.
No, the thing is, actually in the movie, there is an announcement over the intercom that they're looking for a missing sweater. So, like, they actually found it in the editing and ADR'd that line in, which I thought was fucking hilarious.
That's actually awesome, though.
But B is like, if I have all these great ideas, why don't I make a movie myself and like fix the things and then put my thing out there so everyone can talk about how it's not that great? And I've thought about that before, but I'm not
That's
going
why
to
you
do
never made a movie, is because you would never be able to release it because you just keep going back to it.
it. First off, it would.
You'd be George Lucas. That's what you'd be.
No, I wouldn't be George Lucas. I can guarantee you that. It would take me a long time to finish a movie. It would never be popular, even if I made it the way that I wanted to make it, and I was satisfied with the way that it came out. It would not make any money, and no one would see it. And then it would take a lot of time, and it would take a lot of money, and so that's the reason why I don't do it. But that's the thing, is I am not a professional, and it would take. I would first off, a story would have to be there to get me excited about the story.
You have to write the story,
and it's rare that that happens. Well, who am I? That's the thing. So I have to be a director, a writer, do the music. It's like it. The more roles you have. So anyway, I don't have the ability to call my shots in Hollywood. What are some things about this movie that you loved? Besides Mia Farrow. Yeah,
I did love Mia Farrow. Good question. It's been a while since I saw it.
I don't even want to hear that.
I did love most of it. Trying to think.
I think it's telling that you can't pull anything to mind.
I just watched Stop Making Sense, and I can't stop thinking about it.
Are you letting the days go by?
Yeah, it was kind of out of this quarantine. I loved
Same as it ever was.
Totally, absolutely real shot of her walking into the street.
Yeah.
And all the cars stopping. There's no way that looked so legit.
That was legit.
It was legit?
Yeah. The director actually told her, we will walk through and the cars will stop.
That's fucking amazing.
So, and he did it for a handheld. And they did it like 3 or 4 times to get the shot.
I did love that shot. Like I said, I love the part where the guys walk out from behind her. That was pretty good. I liked that whole everything until she gives birth, basically, like the half hour before she gives birth, kind of thing, where she's like kind of losing her mind and you don't know which way it's going,
right? Even
though you kind of do know which way it's going, it's kind of like meant to be that, like Vertigo we were joking about, you know, it's kind of like what is actually happening. I liked that whole thing, and it did kind of. I thought that the doctor was going to help her out, but you know, it didn't happen.
To me, I agree with you, by the way. When she's at the telephone booth,
I forgot about that shot too.
That whole sequence is great.
That was another part that made me go like, holy fuck. Like, that was another part that was kind of scary, was when she's in the telephone booth and the guy that looks identical to the doctor like appears behind her. That was scary too.
And that's William Castle.
Really?
Yeah, that's the producer and the director of all the old.
That's funny.
Yeah,
that part was pretty freaky. I forgot about it until there. The shot when she looks into the baby cage and like gasps and like pulls back. That's a great reaction. But you told me not to pick anything from Mia Farrow, but
no, that's fine. I was just saying, don't say that you just liked her performance and that was it. You know.
That was all I liked. I liked when the credits rolled because it meant it was over. I
Do
would
you
say
think that it's too long?
There was a couple of things that I loved, nothing that I disliked. And that was about it.
Cool.
I do think it was probably 15 minutes too long. It could probably have just been 2 hours right on, or under that. I don't think it's 90 minutes, but I don't think it's 2:15.
Yeah, I feel like at 90 minutes you can't develop everything well enough.
I think you probably cut 15, 20 minutes out and call it a day. It could probably be like an hour 57, 2 right on, but I don't know what you would cut. Some of like the post birth stuff before she goes into the room, maybe. She should have almost like woken up, went, "Where's my baby?" and gotten out of bed and tried to find it immediately.
Yeah, I would have been okay with that. The whole her meeting the lady downstairs and then the lady jumping out of the window, like all of that subplot could be completely taken out and it not change anything.
I'm wondering if that was, I don't know. She was single, that person, right? That lady?
Yeah.
So like they killed her in order to get Rosemary instead, because it's easier to just pin it off as her husband's, like Ed's baby, until it comes to term. So they get rid of the old tenant, make her jump out a window, push her out a window, whatever, so that they could, maybe that was the one that Satan had picked or whatever, until they found a better option. Because like if it's just random single lady gets pregnant all of a sudden, there's like some potential baggage or overhead or something that could happen with that, right? Can't replace that, as well as like.
But remember what year this came out in? This was right in the middle of like the flower power hippie era.
Yeah.
Single moms and all of this, that in New York, especially, that would have been. I mean, there's so many people that would have happened to, or like grandparents
but maybe
raising
she
babies.
would have dealt with it or something. Maybe she wasn't in that position. But then you have a couple who comes along who are like, "Yeah, we're ready to move in and have a baby." They're like, "Oh, that's easier."
But then it's like they also did they also kill off the old woman whose place that they were moving into?
Maybe.
So if that's the case, they would have known about it, and the plans would have been in place way before they moved in. So why wait until? I mean, I can understand if she gets pregnant and then the lady is dead, but it was like before she's pregnant that the lady.
I almost think she should have been pregnant at the start of the movie.
That they move in and she's pregnant
already.
Well, then it can't be the devil's kid.
Well, manifested somehow. I don't know.
Because then it would be like a demon possession rather than a demon spawn.
Yeah, right. And then you just have to make John Cassavetes the devil himself.
To me, what would have made more sense is if they move in and the husband is never there, and so Rosemary is with the neighbors all the time, and while she's sleeping alone, the devil comes in.
Like this is the end.
Yes.
Does it, Jay? Does the power of Christ compel me? Okay, stop. I started to think of it. Okay, fuck off, Jay.
I mean, because it's like, what if Cassavetes had said no? Like, why did the devil? Why would the devil have to force the husband to agree to it?
I don't think he does. That's the thing with the devil. It's that age-old story of promising him fame and fortune and like meeting at the crossroads and stuff like that, right?
But the thing is,
it's like
they were trying for a kid, right?
Yeah.
So if she suddenly gets pregnant, the husband isn't going to notice anything different.
So don't tell the husband almost.
Yeah. Like, why does the husband need to know?
That would have been a better path, and then you suspect the husband the whole time, but it actually
right, but he was actually innocent. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. A little bit of subtlety, a little bit of forethought would have been way more interesting, because then the argument
on the book.
But the argument, well, yeah, because you can never fucking change a book when you make a movie.
Maybe you couldn't in this case.
The thing is, like, if that's one of the questions that the movie leaves with you, was the husband in on it, or did he not know either? Was he just as shocked as she was? What is it like? Maybe she will accept the kid, but now the husband never will, and this is going to be the part that splinters their relationship, because the woman believes that it's not his kid and she has to raise the spawn regardless.
Well, if he's like pleading with her, like, it's the devil's kid, like, we can't do this, and she's like, yeah, but it's my baby.
Right, exactly. Like, no. See, that would have been interesting. And then like the old couple that live next door are like, we would treat it just like it's our grandkid. So even if he leaves you, you won't be homeless. We'll help you raise the kid. And so now she's suddenly on the side of the devil worshippers because they apparently actually love her. I mean, it starts to turn into like Midsummer.
Yep.
Type thing. If this relationship's not working out, but the crazy cult people actually seem to love me, to me that's way more interesting of a story than oh, by the way, I made a deal with the devil and we were going to take the baby away, but apparently you like it still. So everyone at the end is happy and fine because he got what he wanted. He's a successful actor, and she got what she wanted, a baby to raise, and
But in
now
18
they have a
years,
little
the world's
community.
gonna burn. Dun, 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 dun.
And it's like I'm kind of shocked that there were never any scenes of like her friends trying to come over and somebody stopping them.
Yeah.
It's like they came over for the party and they're like, "Okay, you can't come in here. It's all girls now." And then that's the last fucking time we see them in the entire movie. Nobody ever calls her. Nobody comes over. It's not like they don't know where she lives or they're too far away. They were like all rich, not Rich Evans. The fact that they all had money. So it's like that kind of stuff. Like those little details are always the stuff that bugs the shit out of me. You know, which again, it could have been. I mean, I think originally it was like close to 4 hours long, like the original cut of it, and then they had to edit it down from that. So like a lot of these scenes could have been in there. The backstory, I've never read the book. The backstory could be all in the book, and all those explanations are there. It's kind of like the same thing with like The Martian, of like where he actually went through and did all the stuff, but then the movie has to condense stuff and cause a reason for them to be there and different things like that, and causes some of the plot holes or the issues that would have been explained not to have been explained. But because none of that's available or that cut of the movie is not on the Blu-ray, I can't necessarily just, say, oh, well, that probably was in there and they maybe would have explained it. And the finished product, it's not. I'm not going to read the novelization Star Wars of all the reasons why Palpatine came back the way he is. It's just a fucking stupid idea.
Somehow.
In the opening crawl.
The dead speak in Fortnite.
Gosh.
But all in all, I think it's a really entertaining movie.
Sure.
That has like a lot of influences. Like if this one almost walked so others could fly, then that doesn't bump this one up in my mind, but like certainly makes me realize its importance.
I mean, and that might be some of the things too. If some of the components of this film had not in a decade or two later been like completely like overcome and done in a way for me that is so much more satisfying, that maybe this would still stand out. I mean, it's kind of like The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari came out in 1920, but it's still like one of the best versions of that story.
Right.
So it's like the reason why that movie is so interesting to me still is that it's still the best version or one of the best versions of that story. And since this one isn't one of the best versions of the story for me, then I just feel like they took it and improved upon it.
Sure.
But it might have been different if I would have been 19 in 1968 and went and saw it and it knocked my socks off because I hadn't ever seen anything like it. Then maybe I would feel differently. Maybe all the ones later would be like, this is it pales in comparison. This is a shoddy imitation of what I consider the true film to be. I don't know how I would react to it that way. Because I know like with Mark Kermode, a lot of because Exorcist is his favorite film, a lot of the horror films that come out after it, he's just like, they're just doing the same thing that Grandpappy put down on there. And so he thinks that one's the best.
That is a hell of a movie, though.
Sure. To me, it all depends on where you're coming from, because some people think like demons or possession or any of those things is like so freaking scary and like it's almost unutterable. And
I don't think we've talked about that.
I know, but I'm just saying like for the reason why some people I think feel that way.
Yeah.
Is because of that, and so it like stays in their mind way more.
Sure. I agree with that. The stuff in like that and in this that is so good, I think, is the dramatic element.
Yeah, and that's how I feel about Stephen King stuff. The dramatic elements way far outweigh the horror elements. It's like, okay, when you go see it, I'd rather see more stuff with the kids. Get rid of this fucking stupid clown.
Yeah, it's almost when it's a drama first that just also happens to be a horror. It's like Hereditary again,
right?
Like in Midsommar, I would say Midsommar was a little more of a comedy in my mind, in a good way, obviously.
But that's like with Stephen King. I feel like Stand by Me and Shawshank Redemption and some of his more straightforward stories are actually his best stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because he does interpersonal relationships really interesting.
I think because the Shining obviously is so far removed from the book.
It's not even a King story.
Shawshank is probably the best King movie.
Yeah. Oh, Frank Darabont.
That movie's he's fucking awesome. That movie's amazing.
Yeah.
I wish he stayed on Walking Dead. I wish AMC wasn't fucking assholes.
I wish television shows could just leave comic books in comic book land.
Well, I mean, I at least wish somebody that cares about something was allowed to do something, you know?
Yeah, but I feel that way about every movie.
Right. And Kirkman even was like, yeah, I'm totally on board with this. Like, he's the right choice, and we're going to do some good stuff with it. And then they did a good 6-episode first season that was like almost panel for panel and then deviates a little bit so it could do its own thing. 6 episodes. AMC goes, how about doing 20 on half the budget? And Darabont, and also no zombies because they're expensive. Darabont goes, no, that's not what I signed up for. It's not a good idea. So they go, okay, you're fired. And then they replaced them. And that is the bane of The Walking Dead. The end. A Bard's Tale. By me.
The Bard.
The Bard. Well, now what? Did I cut you off?
No, you didn't cut me off at all. I was just, it almost feels like a perfect place to just end it.
Yeah, we kind of already did surmising. It's a very important movie, even if there are issues or in different ways. Again, it's the whole, maybe this movie walked so others could fly, even though I think this one does fly too. But
well, you already know you already know I'm a contrarian, and I really do have unpopular opinions. And by unpopular, I just mean like the vast majority of people wouldn't agree with me because this was an extremely popular film.
Yeah, and I am the opposite, where I like everything. And everything, all of it, until it pisses me off, and then I fucking hate it. 2 extremes here.
You know, it's like it doesn't mean that one person's taste is air quotes better than another person's taste. I just try to enunciate like why I feel the way that I feel about things, not that other people should feel that way. But it's like everyone's point or everyone's feelings towards the movie is valid for their feelings. If that's how they really feel, if they're being honest with the way that they feel, and they're not just saying something because it's the popular thing to say, or they're not being, or they're trying to be controversial just for the sake of being controversial.
Sure.
That's like, I would love to love every movie, but I don't.
Us more enlightened people do. Well, if you like the show,
too bad.
Feel free to subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit the little bell button to let yourself know when we got new episodes airing. Also, feel free to leave a like and a comment. We'll read all comments out on air if they're legitimate and not made by bots.
Or put on there by me.
If you do like the show and you have made it this far, or if you just made it this far, period, even if you don't like the show, thank you. Let us know by leaving an actual comment, even just going, Garrett, you're a dumbass. That would let us know at least that someone listened this far.
I say do whatever it is you want to do. If you don't want to fucking leave a comment, you just want to listen, that is fine.
No, leave a comment. We need to know you're out there. We need to know you're doing shit. We need to know you're living your life in this time of quarantine. We need to know you're still okay. Because we can't.
That joke is going to age terribly.
Yeah, we're in the middle of a quarantine, everybody. You can also follow all of us on Twitter. Links in the description below. And you can follow all of us, all 2 of us, on Letterboxd. Links also in the description below. If you want to stalk our movie watching habits and see how I rate everything really highly and it's everything really low.
Yeah, and the fact that I don't watch anything ever.
Yeah, you only watch like 1 movie a week. You actually watch 4 movies a week, but it's the same movie every day. Like Dawn from Funhouse. Skyscraper 3D.
I love that he had a physical collection and they're all stupid movies.
they're all in 3D. The worst format, 3D Blu-ray. Oh god.